Hello, 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 and welcome back, everybody. I am Danielle Palloschi-Browne. I am an investor agent and investor here in the DMV area, and I am here with my co-host and partner, Raj Tamang, custom home builder and engineer with Green Valley Custom Builders. And we're here today on our 11th construction phases episode. And we're going to be talking about roofing. So everything roofing, from styles, types, products, what's stylish and trendy, some unique roofs. And we're going to talk about, from an investor, flipper, builder perspective, what you need to know and some tips and tricks. So Raj, I'm really excited to discuss this because I think roofing is actually a little bit more broad of a topic than some people might realize. You're thinking like, oh, just throw an asphalt shingle roof up there. But there's so many different products and there's so many ways to even combine roofing styles and types. So why don't we start there? Why don't we start with different roofing types? What are you seeing as some of the most common and popular types, at least in our area?
Yeah. We're talking about residential construction. Commercial is a little bit different. You have a flat roof, pretty much flat roof. So roofing, waterproofing system for commercial flat roof is different. And also you have to remember in commercial, sometimes you might have access to go to the roof and you can use that flat roof as a platform. They call it like, sometimes they have AC units they put up there on the roof.
Yeah.
Pretty standard for commercial buildings. And sometimes they have a penthouse, all that kind of thing. But residential, usually I have not seen it. If it is flat roof, it's just a roof. They really don't use that space,
Yeah.
So you don't have to go heavy duty on the roofing, flat roof, on residential construction, even if you have a flat roof, right? But, standard residential slope roof, singles, it's pretty standard, pretty common. I would say 90%, 95%. You'll see in this area as roof singles, asphalt singles. And people do standing seam metal, but most likely only in a porch, maybe sunroom, or you have a box window, bay window you use.
It's more like an accent roof, if you will.
It's more like an
accent. Entire thing.
Yeah, and also drawback with the roof, you have to think about if it is raining, there would be a lot of noise if you're sleeping up on the second floor.
That makes a lot of sense. I never really thought about that, but that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the metal making all the noise.
All the noise, especially if it is raining, exactly. But like I said, singles are very standard. But again, you need to understand the process of step by step, the layers, how roofing is installed. Giving example of which is singles, right? Asphalt singles. We call it architectural singles because it comes with different design, different colors, different finishes. Charcoal black is very common, but you don't have to do black always. There are so many different products and finishes you can get. But some of the things you have to remember is I have seen, first of all, you have to start from the roof framing, which is usually roof trusses. That is spaced 24 inches one center. Then you have a plywood or soft floor, which is OSB or plywood decking, right? That's what we talked about this one before. Sometimes people do 7/16 thick OSB. But you might have a problem in our area because if there's heavy snow, especially go up north, and if your trusses are spaced 24 inches one center, and your roof decking is like 7/16 thick. That's what we use for exterior seating, right? In the house outside, OSB is 7/16 inch thickness. I've seen a lot of builders, they do the same OSB on the roofing, but I don't do it. I've seen many problems because of the span and the thickness and the heavy snow. You sometimes can see like web. A roof is supposed to be flat, but that kind of looks funny. But you'll see it. You pay attention because if you don't have that enough thickness structurally, for the plywood OS with
bow over
exactly
top.
bow in between the span. So we do always, half inch to 3/4 inch is too much, because 3/4 inch usually do on the subfloor, but at least about 5/8 to a half inch, I would recommend. Right. So after that, you have to do that a black paper, 15-pound felt or 30-pound felt, means it's pretty much a felt paper thickness. So if I would say, 15-pound felt paper in this area is very standard, but it's, spec homes, of course, as a spec home builder, we're trying to save money. But 15, we do usually 15 to 30 pounds felt. But if you're building a custom home, I would recommend 30. And the price difference is not much.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
so
better.
What's the purpose of this specific layer? Is it waterproofing? Is it soundproofing? Is it insulation? Is it all of that? Like what's the purpose of the felt
It's
paper?
almost like waterproofing. Insulation is on the attic. You have to have insulation anyway in the attic.
Yeah,
Usually
under the
blown in.
Subfloor, or that's not the right word. The OSB or the plywood.
Correct. Yeah, on the attic, you have to have that. But usually on the roof, rafters or trusses, there is nothing there. So it's most likely, yes, it's also doing it waterproofing, right? So the one is raining. I mean, of course, you have to remember after that, then you put singles, but the singles are pieces. But when they install, if it is driving rain, some of the water may get inside. But if you have the felt paper properly done, then you're protected. Same thing on the exterior wall. Remember, we have a regular siding, but before you install siding, you have that Tyvek vapor barrier, right? Yep. Same purpose, because if the water goes, so it does not go inside the wall.
Got it. Okay. So
but
then you put this fabric down, and then what goes on top of the fabric?
Yeah, that's it. Then you install the singles. But a
okay.
few things you have to remember is that you have to install the vent system, which is nowadays the vent system. You have to remember you have an attic trusses. It's big space, void space. Okay, if you don't have a proper ventilation system in the winter, it could be freaking hot. It's like really hot, right?
Or really hot in the summer, or I guess really cold in the summer, then maybe, or just still really hot in the summer.
It's not so much in the cold, like I said, because you're heating the whole house. But we talked about this one, I think last week, is because even if you are only heating the space, as you hit the air, it becomes lighter and tends to go up, right? So it's not directly going to the attic. So the attic is not that cold, really cold in the winter, like outside. But in the summertime, your attic is really hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
right?
Hot.
So with this nowadays, the way we do is that on the soffit, we have the soffit vent. There's holes around the soffit, around the house, around the roof. And the purpose is that fresh air from outside is supposed to come inside on the attic. And from there on the reeds, there's a whole continuous vent.
Yep.
So air comes in from the soffit and goes out from the reeds.
Got it.
That's the circulation. You have to have a circulation.
So if you look at the eave going over the side of a house, of a roof, you're talking about that little space before the gutter, but under the eave of the roof. And there's lots of little, it looks like, I don't know, like a grating or like I'm not describing this well.
It's called a soffit. That's what I was saying. Soffit.
Soffit. Just for those that are less familiar with exactly where you can find these, they're on the exterior. You see them on the exterior.
And it has holes on them. It has tiny holes on them. Yeah.
Yep. They look kind of like a vent, but many of them all in a row.
Correct. So you don't have to have the entire length, but maybe certain spacing requirements. Maybe at least you have to have 75 or 50% of the length, so that air coming in, and from the roof vent, it's venting out. That's the now standard construction process. But if you look at some of the house, old construction, in the attic, you'll see actually small window vent.
Yeah, they're usually on the side of
On the side,
like
exactly.
when you see the pitch, and like say this is the side of the house, they're usually like in the middle somewhere on the side of the pitch.
That's called a gable, exactly, on the gable.
On the gable, okay.
So in the ridge, they did in those type of construction you're talking about on a roof ridge, there is no vent. So air is still coming in from the soffit around the house, and that is going out from the vent. Right?
Got it. So if you have an older home and you're replacing the roof, and say you have these like window like vents, if you will, on the gables, you don't necessarily have to replace that right now, or what would you recommend?
No,
like
you can keep that.
A cosmetic flipper will probably have this question.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this is the deal, because you have to remember when you say ridge vent, it's not really complicated. It's just leaving a gap on the top. Because old construction, if you have a side vent, maybe there is no gap on the ridge, but you can create a gap, right? That's not a big deal.
So like at the very tip.
Yeah, on the tip, you leave a little bit of gap so that you leave a room for air to go out.
Got it. I've seen that too. Like on the caps that go over the top, there's like a little bit of space.
There you go. There's a cap you see in the ridge, and they're sitting like this, and there's a gap like this, you know.
Yep.
And also,
that's for air ventilation.
Ventilation. Also, all construction, like I said, depending on how much of the attic area you're talking about, those two side vents may not be enough. So you'll see your air vent. You can actually buy it, and the fan. You know,
attic fans.
I don't know what the term is. I forgot, but it's almost like attic vent. Yeah, attic vent. You can nowadays. It's not that expensive. You can even find solar powered.
Oh, that's cool.
Exactly. So you don't have to, you know, if the power is not working, that fan is still working. So I think, to be honest, like I said, if it's a big house, you have a side vent, you definitely need to install it, because those side vent may not be enough to do the air circulation for the entire roof. You know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But another thing we do is also in our area, it's called water sealed, which is mostly you have to do at the edges and at the valley. If the roofs are coming and adjoining in the valley, especially hip roof. So those locations you have to do additional, waterproofing, or the black paper thing. They added additional the piece.
Got it.
Because
to just prevent from water, like where water gathers the most.
Yeah, and also especially if it is winter time, if it is a snow area like our area, if it's snow, the snow may stay on the roof for a day or 2 or 3 days, right? Yeah. So if you don't have that enough length on the valley, when water is melting or snow is melting, the water may get inside. That's what you're trying to avoid.
Or if it refreezes at night, it could go under the shingles.
Exactly. So that's why all this flashing, all kind of thing, especially if sometime you have a wood burning fireplace and you have a chimney sticking out from the roof, those area are the area you have to provide enough height of the flashing. So you have a roof here, you have a chimney sticking out, and especially on this area, if you don't have enough, like this, and on this corner, if you don't have enough height, at least like 2 feet or 3 feet, of the flashing, because that area, the snow will probably stay there for longer.
Got it.
So, and there's a lot of things you could do, things like that in our area. There's those are the pretty standard. And like I said, the water seal usually they go up to like 2 feet from the edges up. Because what happened, you have to remember that one of the reason of this one, also they call it snow sealed, is that because your roof is still heated. Because like I said, even though your attic space is not heated, in the winter time, all the heated air from the house will go into the attic somehow, right? So when it's raining, just above the roof, above the attic area, is definitely higher temperature than outside, because underneath there is a right temperature. So the snow on that area will melt quickly. But you have to think about the area on the overhang. Roof is about 16 inches or 2. Nowadays, it's like 2 feet, 3 feet overhang. That overhang is pretty cold.
Yep.
So you will see in the winter time that all of a sudden all the roof on the ridge and everything is all melted, and all of a sudden on the roof line there's like continuous almost like 2-3 feet of that stretch of snow sitting along the edge. It's exactly, that's one of the reasons. So that area is this also, you have to put additional waterproofing, right? Water seal layer.
Got it. It's pretty interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm thinking in New York City now, it's a requirement on buildings that they actually have to have electric heating on soffits around the building for edges like that, because icicles were falling off buildings and hurting people. And I actually got hurt. I got hit in the face by an icicle that had fallen several stories. Unfortunately, like, it didn't hit me terribly, but like I got cut on my face, and it was like a whole thing. And I was showing an apartment, so like I was with clients, so I had to like not freak out that I just got slammed in the face with a giant icicle. But yeah, that's a requirement now, because that was happening so frequently, and depending on the size of the icicle, you could kill somebody.
Exactly. That's called ice seal, because those areas, because in New York, of course, colder than here. So those areas you may have to do ice seal is the same way, because sometimes that's part of the snow can stay there for a long time. And you have to remember, if snow builds along the edges, and then snow melting from the roof, it's going to come down, but then it can't slide down. So it's like accumulated to length, like 2-3 feet from the edge.
Well, and then at night, if it gets into the 40s or even low 50s during the day, it'll start melting. But if it doesn't melt all the way at night, it likely will refreeze. So that's how you get these situations where you have ice then, not just snow, but ice sitting on these sections of roof. And it could turn into icicles. It could turn into a sheet of ice that could fall off the roof and hurt someone. I've seen, and there's a couple of different ways that gets handled, but having the right amount of waterproofing so it doesn't screw up the inside of your roof is really important. But sometimes there's different types of functions with your roof to prevent it from becoming like a real safety hazard where it like falls off your roof and hits someone or breaks something. Like on metal roofs, what are those little like sharp things at the bottom of a roof? You know what I'm talking about? See, maybe you don't know what they're called, but the function of it is essentially to catch any sliding, because metal roofs, the way they're overlapped is like kind of a tongue and groom system, right? Where you kind of piece them together, and they're in these long vertical sheets. So you can get some snow that really just sleds right down the roof.
There you go, yeah. You got it, exactly.
So they have these little like metal things that kind of come up at the bottom, and they stop, and there's lots of them. So they kind of act as like a little fence, if you will, and it helps break up the snow. Or am I just making this up? Like, that's what I at least thought they were for.
Be, I never thought about it, because like I said, we don't do too many of those. But I understand what you talk about. I've seen it many times. I've been wondering why they do it. I'm gonna do some research, to be honest.
I have a few friends that live in like upstate New York where there's tons of snow, and that's what they said they were for. They were to prevent giant ice sheets from falling off a roof and hurting someone.
They may be right. I mean, otherwise, I've been thinking, like, what is the purpose otherwise? It can't be decorative. It looks ugly. To be honest with you. The smaller look like a small bird.
Yes.
It's
like they could be like fleur-de-lis or roosters or like crosses, like metal spikes. Like they're usually very decorative, but they do have their function.
Okay.
Apparently, but cross-check me. That's what
I will check, to be honest.
So anybody else in the comments, let me know if I'm incorrect on that. But I've talked a lot about not getting hit in the face by snow on your roof. So we can move on from that.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense when you explain to me. Might be a reason, but your explanation makes sense. But again, because we can do research. That's what Google for.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some of the length of time that these products are good for, right? Like, 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago, I bought my house, and within 3 months, I had to put a new roof on. But I kind of knew we were going to need to. I just hoping it wouldn't have been then. I wish it would have lasted a little longer. And when we were looking at products, there were 30-year asphalt shingles and then 50-year asphalt shingles. And then obviously you have other options like a metal roof and other types of ceramic tile, like those kinds of more Mediterranean style looking homes. Like I visited friends in Arizona and they have like clay tile all the time. Like that's a very common roofing style. How does the price differ in these roofing types? But I think maybe my first question is a 50-year asphalt product worth it compared to a 30-year asphalt product? And is there actually a difference?
To be honest with you, if you give me a second, I have a sample of
Okay.
30-year architectural single. That's what we mostly use because single needs to be replaced between 20 to 30 years.
Yes.
It depends where it is. If it is in Florida, maybe you have too much of high wind, and that may damage your roof. You may have to replace quicker. But 50-year, to be honest with you, I have not used it. I don't know if it is worth it or not, to be honest with you. But give me one second. Keep talking. Okay, let me bring that sample.
Okay. Well, I'm not really sure what else to bring up other than from what I've seen is that different roofing types outside of asphalt shingles, personally, from in terms of value of the home, I haven't seen it really greatly affect the value of the home itself. So unless you were to do, like if you decided to put a metal roof on, I don't necessarily think that raises the value of the house like an exact carbon copy of that house. I don't think it's necessarily worth very much more than the exact house with asphalt shingles. So that's me personally. But I don't think I see enough roof varieties in our area to make it a great comparison. So that's kind of a caveat to that. Okay, so what do you have
This
here?
is one of the roof we use. This company, Curtain Teed. This is one of very popular. A lot of builders, they use it. I've seen pretty much everybody in this area, they use it.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I think I have that
everywhere, right? The landmark designer samples, and you see it has so many different, it has so many different colors there. Even you have like green, you have a freaking red. But like I say, I mean, I've seen in some places it looks like a really gray.
Yeah.
But this is very popular. And look at this warranted. I don't know. Looks like this. You see something on the top like 30-year, 10-year,
10, 10, and 130. But I can't see what they're for.
No, 130 miles per hour. That's for the wind.
Oh,
wind speed. Yeah. Because what that means is that if you go to Florida, you might be, very high. Already 130 miles per hour is very high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Usually, we design for 90 miles per hour. This is the ultimate, it's just like 90, 70, 75, 80, 90 is that's pretty much peak in this area, very occasional. But the Texas, Florida, you might be very high. So this product is even qualified to use in Texas and Florida because 130 miles per hour wind speed is a lot.
There's a lot.
Right? So those are the things. Yeah. This is one of the best product. I have used it all the time. And these are all architectural singles too. There's so many different products out there, but like I said, they come to a warranty, and standard is about 20 to 30 years you have to replace. And to be honest with the 50 years, I have not used it, to be honest with you, at all, because 50 years looks like a long time. Long time.
It is a very long time. That's what, so when and this is just like my isolated purchasing process. So again, if anyone has additional knowledge on this roofing type and can give us some comparison and is willing to share some information in the comments, like please do. For me, when we were purchasing our roof like 2.5-ish years ago, we ended up we went with the 50-year product basically because they're like, it's the same price. So I was like, all right, I'll get a product that's the product itself is warranted for up to 50 years. I was like, why not? What's the likelihood of me living in this house for 50 years? Not very much. Like in 50 years, I'll be in like my mid to late 80s. So this is like, sure, whatever. But we opted for the other price because there literally was no difference in price to us.
Yeah.
Or at least none that was presented to us. Now, could it be that the builder was saving a little bit of money or getting some kind of kickback for using their product? I don't know. I don't really care. To me, there was a perceived value of, oh, this is more beneficial. But I have no idea if I just got a 30-year product, if that would have been just as good. I don't know, maybe.
Like you say, with the roofer nowadays, they give you this warranty anyway, and just to ask for the sample and get the warranty. Because most of this roofer, unless you buy yourself, for example, when we build a house, sometimes I have a company I work with. They provide all the materials, labels, roofing, siding, and sometimes I have my installer, so I buy everything myself. They install it.
Yep.
But when I buy the product, I make sure that I buy this product with a warranty.
Yes.
From the vendor I've been working with for many years. For example, this area, there's a company called Roof Center or Beacon Products. Those companies in this area, they supply roofing and siding materials, and they're very reliable. So,
Yeah. And as like a resale value, my warranty, when I was getting my roof installed, I asked them if my warranty was transferable, meaning that if I ever sell my house, if I can transfer that warranty to the next owner. And mine is. It's not always the case, but you want to ask that, because if you do decide to sell your home in, I don't know, less than 50 years from like my roofing product, my warranty does transfer. And on both materials and on labor. So the installation, meaning that the company who installed it is also warrantying it. Now, do companies go out of business in 30 or 50 years? Yeah, all the time. That's why you want to have both the material and the installation warranty, because that gives you two different places to go to make sure that your roof is warranted. And most of the time, those things are transferable. So just keeping the paperwork on that's really important. And as a seller, it's a really big benefit to buyers. And if you can even just say, hey, we have a transferable warranty, it doesn't cost you anything. You've already paid for the roof. So to have that information readily available doesn't cost you anything, but it actually really makes many buyers feel fantastic about buying your home. Because the roof is like the biggest question most people have. It's like the roof, the HVAC, the AC, and any like bigger appliances. Like, is anything going to go? What's going to go? But the roof is probably the biggest expense for most people.
Yeah.
Definitely was for us. I'll say that.
I agree. And also make sure that regular maintenance, right? If you are living in a wooded area, that you may have to make sure that clean it and regular basis, especially I think gutters and downspout gutters. And downspout, which is part of the roofing, is nowadays to prevent those, clogging of gutters. You can find some of the proprietary products. I think it's overrated, to be honest with you. They give you like lifetime warranty,
Like gutter guards, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Gutter guards, leaf guards. Their company, you can actually buy from some legit source like a Costco.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can buy it. And to be honest with you, all the new house we do like $2-3 million, $5 million home, we don't install it. It's not necessarily, have to be done. It depends where it is. If you are living, your house is all wooded area, maybe you want to do it. But instead of doing those product, paying 10 times, you can have a regular gutter, put a screen on the top.
Yeah, that's really all you
it's cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. You
can find it.
It's not difficult to install.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a 3-story house, that's it's more complex because you need a ladder or scaffolding and safety. But the actual installation of them is really, really easy. Like, my wife and I, we've put on many on our gutters, but I have a single-story house. So, and I'm 6 feet tall. So like a lot of them I could actually just reach while standing on like a step stool, and it was perfectly fine. That is not the case in most houses though.
Yes.
And part of our roof is flat. And we have lots of trees around our house. So we have found a benefit where like our gutters don't get clogged, but leaves do gather in certain peaks on our roof. So we do go, in the fall, it's probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 times between like October and probably mid-December. And like, we're going to do it at least one more time in the next week or two.
Yeah.
And in the spring, they can actually get clogged because of all of like the buds and flowers and stuff that falls off the trees. So yeah, I completely agree. Just a little bit of maintenance. Honestly, just a leaf blower This isn't
Yeah.
like some major thing. You don't want to do anything that has like a sharp end to it because you don't want to puncture your roof. And you also want to find out what you need to do to maintain your roof that's going to make sure your warranty is not compromised. So, for instance, we decided to do like some repair to our chimney right before we got our roof fixed. And the reason for that is we explained that to the roofing company. We said, hey, we need a new chimney cap, which is a cement cap that goes on the top of our chimney. And I said, should we have that installed before or after you install the roof? And they said, you really should do it beforehand, because if they say they drop a bag of cement and they cause a puncture, we can't warranty our work.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you for the advice. That was really sound. So you may want to look at a roofing project as the roof, a chimney, or any spouts that you have, as well as your gutters, and see what should we do, what can we do, what order should we do it, and ask professionals for the order, because it can actually really affect things like your warranty, and it also can affect expense. So say you do one thing in the wrong order, you may have to go back, redo it, pay for it again, and do it again. So that's what I found. If you have any chimney issues, I'd have those inspected first. So that way, like, we increased the flashing around the chimney when we had the roof redone. We did the cap, and we had some masonry done. And that way, when they put the roof, we know we're not going to have anything other than like a cleaning need to be done on the roof anytime soon. So nothing else that would happen would damage the warranty or make it unwarrantyable.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is that when you have a roofing replacement, make sure that you get it from someone who has done it for many years, or from the company they provide a warranted, things like that. Because the roof is not, it's not something you can go and check every day. Like a drywall, you can check it, right? If there's a crack, you see it. But sometime in the roof, it's leaking. You don't even find out for many years, depending on how big the leak is. So you make sure that you find someone who's later. Maybe it's worth paying a few $1,000s more, but getting the warranty from the company they've been doing for a long time. So that's what I do, especially even these big homes too, because I know that that's very important part of it, part of the house. So roofing is the one that had to be done from someone. And especially now, one thing I can tell you is a flat roof. Like I said before, flat roof is very tricky. If you don't do it properly, you might have a problem. Because I built one house 3 years ago. It's a balcony, private balcony coming out of your master bedroom. This balcony is really huge, but looks like my roofing guy didn't do it correctly. I had to go 3-4 times and fix it. That's not good. It's really tricky, if you don't do it properly, especially balcony. When it's snowing, there's the 1 foot, 2 foot, foot of snow. It could be accumulated, along the wall. Yeah. And if you don't have flashing, and if you don't have done all those installation properly, you might have an issue, right? So especially, I would say, when you're doing a flat roof or flat roof, I would say that make sure that you install from someone who you trust, from the good roofer. I would not just go try to do it myself because I'm not good at it. So, those are things I would say. But, really overall, tricky. And also I think when you talk about different type of roofing, you kind of have tiles. I've done ceramic tiles also. Sometimes you do clay, right? It looks like sail type of
little scallops.
Yeah, right. Wood clay. So it depends type of the design. There's some of the Mediterranean homes, not too many, but you'll see here in Northern Virginia a lot in different part of the community, especially I would say Clifton, or even you go to Great Falls, you see big homes like that. Again, those type of installation has to be done properly, of course, from someone who has done it before. But again, those are all the things you have to keep in mind. But that's what, in my mind, that in opinion, that's what I would advise, right? And like you said before, don't hesitate to ask questions to your roofer, because asking questions can help a lot down the road, just to maintenance purpose. You can just write down and stick on a board, your refrigerator or somewhere, as a notification to you. For example, before I forget, now wintertime, now we are heading to wintertime, you're winterizing your whole house is very important. It's very simple. If you don't know, you don't know. You have to winterize all those hose beeps, right? And you have to do it for your AC units. all the faucets, things like that.
Yeah.
Even your AC units, you may want to talk to once a year or twice a year. I would say talk to your HVAC company, have them to service.
Yep.
And you may be paying like $100-$200, but I guarantee you'll be saying more than that in the overall in saving of the energy, because now if the unit is not efficient, then it's consuming more energy than you need it to heat or to make our house colder, right? But it's worth it. Those are the things sometimes we just let it go, take it for granted. But those things are very important in my mind. Checking out roofing also, like I said, you say, okay, I installed a house now, new roof for 30 years. I don't have to worry about it. I can just go to sleep. No, because how if there's a high wind? Maybe that part of the roof, like on the top, is a split top, right? All the water may just go through it. So, just look around after, especially high wind. You can just look from outside and see if you see anything unusual. And if you suspect there's something, find somebody else with a ladder and have them to go look at it, because I think it's worth it. That's what I would say.
I couldn't agree more. I think one kind of semi-final question, because I think we've really tackled like everything on that list today, which was pretty great. Cost-wise, of a clay roof product or like a tile roof product versus like an asphalt shingle, like how does that compare?
To be honest with you, since like I said, the clay tiles are very specific. Nowadays, about 90% of the house in our areas, they don't do it. Everything is shingles and standard seam. To be honest with you, cost-wise, I have no idea, but I would say at least like 2-3 times more expensive. Installation should be very expensive too. But like I say, tiles, I know a few vendors in this area because I had a client, I designed a house and they wanted to do tiles. I'm not the GC, I'm just an engineer. So they installed tiles, so we're looking for some local vendors. So we found some local vendors we can install and supply. But I have no idea how much it's going to cost. But we know it should be more expensive.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I figured. I was just kind of curious about how much.
Cost-wise,
2 or 3 times sounds about right. I mean,
right, yeah.
It's much more involved in making those tiles, and think about it, like when you receive the product, you're also much likely, like when you order tiles for a bathroom or a kitchen floor or a backsplash, some are going to be broken, some are going to be chipped, you're ordering them just like you would any kind of other tile packages, I'm assuming. So you're going to have to order extra product, and probably the installation's pretty different as well. Just simply, I can think of by like the shape of it, especially like the rounded, think like Mediterranean, they're like Italy and Florence or whatever kind of shaped tiles. Like I can't imagine that's just installed with like the nail gun, the roofing nail gun, as it goes very quickly in sheets.
So, I think we're almost there, but one thing I just remember, there's a new product now.
Yeah.
I've not seen a lot of people using a solar roof. Our Mr. Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, he's freaking
like
everywhere
glass,
now.
Right? They look like
this
glass
is a solar roof. So in shingles, it comes with all those panels. It's solar panels. And so, so if you do, solar roof with Tesla, it takes you there to their website and tells you the solar. So the idea is all that solar roof is you are using that is power to light the house. Because
which
one
is
thing
really cool.
Yeah, but one thing I realized, your heating and cooling system may not be enough. One thing I realized, because I'm just building a house for a client now, and they want to do solar, so which I have not done before. So I've been dealing with this company now, and this house we're building also has a swimming pool. So then they tell us you have to have 3 different systems. One system is for lighting, another for heating, cooling, another for outside your swimming pool. So
the pool could take a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. So I mean, overall, I don't know how cost benefit is going with the solar, but some people are really into like sustainable design and greenhouse, all that. I've seen it. People done it with solar panels. But this, you're talking about solar roof. It's not a panel. Roof itself is a solar.
Yeah, so like kind of like those clay tiles, each of them is, from what I've seen, it looks glass, and under in that glass is a solar mechanism. That,
yeah,
like,
and the way it is, if you look at the West, I'm looking at it right now, this thing is so, tough, like stiffness. It's not like a brutal, like clay. If you just bang with a hammer, it's gonna break.
Yeah.
Singles is same, but he said that if you compare between single and this product is almost the same. So I don't know what kind of product this Elon Musk
It's
come up
made of
with.
then.
Maybe he got it
It's probably
something,
not glass.
some kind of material got it from Mars or something.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of years if that becomes more and more and more popular and common. Just as people start moving away from other types of fuel and looking at renewable energy. And this is a huge cost savings. Like, think about it. If you have a 10 or 15,000 square foot house, your utilities are nothing like a 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
And if most of the things in your house run on electric, or you can switch them over to have, like, say, your heating and your cooling. Many people have that run on gas here, but with gas prices going up again, I would guess that these kinds of questions, especially about sustainable products like this that can help run your home, or at least cover some of how to run your home, don't come up more frequently. I think it's going to be a trend that we see over the next 5 or 6 years for sure.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we've touched on everything on roofs, but if you have any other questions, please leave your questions in the comments, and Raj and I will absolutely get back to you. But until next time, we will see you guys next week to continue our construction series. And thanks so much. Well, thanks, Raj.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Mm-hmm.